The sorting ceremony in Harry Potter has become iconic. Each house has taken on a life of its own, and each house is full of great characters. Today, however, we're gonna look at what could have been, as I list the top 10 characters that might have been sorted into the wrong house. Now obviously, this is just speculating and it's all for fun. I'm not saying that Rowling was wrong. I'm just taking a look at each character's traits, and based on that, I'll resort them into a new house. Before I get into it, I feel like I should break down the qualities that each house represents. We'll start with Gryffindor. They value bravery, daring, nerve, and chivalry. Moving on to Slytherin, they value ambition, leadership, self-preservation, cunning, and resourcefulness. For Ravenclaw, they value intelligence, knowledge, curiosity, creativity, and wit. And finally, Hufflepuff. They value hard work, dedication, patience, loyalty, and fair play. So now that we know the qualities of each house, we'll resort the top 10 characters. Before we get into the video, I want to introduce the new me. You can now call me Lord Morgan. That's right, Movie Flame is now an official Lord. How did I do it? I'm glad you asked. I did it with the help of Established Titles, who just so happens to be the sponsor of this video. Established Titles is a project that's based on Scottish traditions, and if you own land in Scotland, you are officially a laird, or in English, a lord and a lady. Established Titles allows literally anyone to buy as little as 1 square foot of land, and because you own that land, you're officially a lord or a lady. This certificate allows you to have a unique plot number that tells you exactly where your land is, and this not only makes you a boss to your friends and family, but it also supports global reforestation efforts because with every order they plant a tree, so it's a fun way to help preserve the picturesque woodlands of Scotland. And you don't have to buy it for yourself. Imagine how cool of a gift this would be. You could literally say to your friends and family, I bought you land in Scotland, and now you're now Lord so-and-so. That would blow their mind. With this purchase, you can officially change your name, so you can have Lord or Lady on your credit card. Heck, you could even have it on your dating profile. What a conversation starter that would be. Established Titles is actually having a massive sale right now, and if you use my code MovieFlame, you can get 10% off. All you have to do is go to establishedtitles.com/movieflame and you can become a lord or a lady today. Now that I've said that, let's get the video started. Gilderoy Lockhart, Slytherin. Lockhart was a Ravenclaw in the books, but I think he could have been sorted into Slytherin. For one, he's not too concerned with gaining knowledge or intelligence, the two main traits for Ravenclaw, but rather he values cunning and resourcefulness like a Slytherin, as he lies and fools everyone into thinking that he did all of those accomplishments on his own. It's clear that he pushes away Ravenclaw traits and takes on Slytherins instead, so it only makes sense that he would don the green and silver rather than the blue and bronze. Ron Weasley, Hufflepuff. Now, I don't want to slander Ron in any way because honestly the movie slandered him enough. But Ron was of course a Gryffindor in the books, and while we can't deny that he does possess traits that define Gryffindors, we've also seen some examples where it's quite the opposite. We see his bravery, daring, and nerve waver quite a bit when on the Quidditch pitch, as he constantly just wants to give up and quit the team rather than brave it out. He eventually does end up braving it out, but only after a lot of pushing from his friends. He also has a huge fear of spiders, which doesn't bode well when saying that Ron is brave.
Can we panic now?
Meanwhile, the thing that everyone agrees on is that Ron is a loyal friend, especially to Harry. This is even the quality that Rowling herself loves most in the character. Ron is a loyal friend through and through, and though they had their ups and downs, Ron is always by Harry's side when it counts.
Maybe you don't have to do this all by yourself, mate.
This strong drive for loyalty is of course a trait that Hufflepuffs embody, which makes me think that Ron could have donned the yellow and black. Harry Potter, Slytherin. Harry is of course a Gryffindor, but during the sorting ceremony, the sorting hat wanted to put Harry in Slytherin, and only when Harry asked it not to did it put him in Gryffindor.
Not Slytherin, not Slytherin.
Not Slytherin, eh?
Even Dumbledore confirmed that Harry would have fit well in Slytherin. A big part of that is of course Voldemort transferring some of his powers like Parseltongue to Harry when he tried to kill him. But as the Sorting Hat said, he would have done well in Slytherin.
But I stand by what I said last year. You would have done well in Slytherin.
Severus Snape, Gryffindor. Snape was a Slytherin, which makes sense given the path he went down to become a Death Eater. However, while his early life points to the hat making the right decision, his later life is what makes me think he should have been sorted into Gryffindor. Harry himself said that Snape was the bravest man he ever knew.
You were named after 2 headmasters of Hogwarts. One of them was a Slytherin, and he was the bravest man I've ever known.
And that's the most prominent trait Gryffindors possess, bravery. Snape dedicated his life to helping the good guys, and he showed incredible bravery as he risked his life lying right to the Dark Lord's face, knowing he could have been exposed at any given moment. But he didn't care. He showed incredible bravery and nerve as he dedicated his life to protecting Harry. Percy Weasley, Slytherin. Percy was sorted into Gryffindor just like every other Weasley, but he is by far the least Gryffindor out of all of the Weasley clan. And this makes sense, as he abandoned his family for a few years for his own selfish reasons. Percy actually checks off almost every trait for Slytherin. He showed more ambition than perhaps any character in the series, as he worked so hard to have a successful career at the Ministry, even if that meant turning on his own family to side with Fudge. On top of that, he showed a desire for leadership as he wanted to work his way up in the Ministry, which might be best shown in the hilarious scene where he was reading a book entitled Prefects Who Gained Power. And he showed a lot of self-preservation as he abandoned his family, all because he didn't want to end up poor like his father. He also showed cunning and resourcefulness, as he was able to manipulate his way to the top, working closely with people like Barty Crouch and Cornelius Fudge, and he did this by manipulating and buttering people like Fudge, Umbridge, and Crouch up. Looking at all of this, it's clear that Percy would have fit well in Slytherin. Cedric Diggory, Gryffindor. Cedric was a Hufflepuff, and was one of the few great Hufflepuffs in the series, which is why it hurts me to say he could have been a Gryffindor. I don't want to take away Hufflepuff's one godsend in the original series, but it's true. Cedric was incredibly brave. Putting his name in the Goblet of Fire alone proves that, and the fact that he faced everything that came his way in the tournament with almost no fear proves that even more. However, the biggest example that shows his Gryffindor bravery was him standing toe-to-toe with the unknown enemy coming their way in the graveyard, knowing that Harry was in too much pain to do so. He was ready to protect both himself and Harry to the unknown threat, and ultimately, that final brave act was his last. He went out like a true Gryffindor. Albus Dumbledore, Slytherin. Dumbledore was a Gryffindor in the books, but there can be a pretty strong argument that he belonged in Slytherin. His leadership skills are clear, as he ran Hogwarts for years, and was even asked to be Minister of Magic at least 3 times. His leadership also showed when he was planning to take over the world with Grindelwald as a teenager, which also checks off the box for ambition. He's also very cunning and resourceful, as he pulls the strings of everything that happened in the series, whether it be tricking Snape into protecting Harry only to have Harry die.
You've kept him alive so that he can die at the proper moment. You've been raising him like a pig for slaughter.
Dumbledore manipulated and lied to a lot of people like Snape, Harry, hell, even Newt and Grindelwald in the Fantastic Beasts films. He checks off almost every trait listed for Slytherins, and looking at his arc, Dumbledore sounds more like a Slytherin than a Gryffindor if you ask me. Rubeus Hagrid, Hufflepuff. Hagrid was a Gryffindor in the series, but I think he would have fit well in Hufflepuff. He's incredibly loyal to his friends and loved ones, but especially to Dumbledore.
Never insult Albus Dumbledore in front of me.
Hagrid was so loyal to Dumbledore that he put a pigtail on Dudley after Vernon insulted Albus. He slammed Karkaroff against a tree when he spit at Dumbledore, and no matter what happened, he was always there for Albus. Hagrid is also incredibly loyal to his creatures. Even when others dismiss them, Hagrid will always stand up for them, even when he shouldn't. He also bears a close resemblance to another creature-loving Hufflepuff we know. It's clear that Hagrid's loyalty easily could have put him in the yellow and black. Hermione Granger, Ravenclaw. Hermione was of course a Gryffindor, but the Sorting Hat actually considered putting her in Ravenclaw. We found this out when Terry Boot asked her why she wasn't in his house, and she said, "Well, the Sorting Hat did consider putting me in Ravenclaw during my sorting, but it decided on Gryffindor in the end." There's no denying that Hermione possesses many traits that Gryffindors have, but she also embodies many traits of a Ravenclaw as well. The intelligence is a given, as she's easily the smartest student in her year.
You are brilliant, Hermione. Truly.
Actually, I'm highly logical, which allows me to look past extraneous detail and perceive clearly that which others overlook.
Yeah.
Knowledge is also very important to her, as she's read every book she could get her hands on, which also checks off the curiosity trait. And on top of that, her creativity and wit are front and center whenever the trio finds themselves in a jam.
Come with me.
I'll leave Hermione. You're mad. We wouldn't last 2 days without her.
It honestly doesn't seem that alien to see Hermione in the blue and bronze. Peter Pettigrew, Slytherin. Peter Pettigrew is the least brave Gryffindor we've ever seen. Most of this is just for fun, being like, oh yeah, they could have been in that house, but you know, it makes sense that they're in the house they're in. But this is the only one where I'm like, no, they were put in the wrong house. He is a straight up coward who hides behind other powerful people for protection. I honestly don't think he possesses a single trait that defines Gryffindor, but he actually embodies almost every Slytherin trait. Self-preservation is obvious. As I said, he hides behind powerful people, and he does what's best for him, even if that means leading Voldemort to his best friend's death. He's also very cunning and resourceful, and before you say no, Pettigrew is really stupid, look at the framing job he did. He cut off one of his fingers, turned into a rat, and was able to be adopted by a family who cares for him, and they would also give him information if Sirius ever escaped. That's insanely cunning and resourceful if you ask me. He literally got off scot-free while another one of his best friends rots in jail, which also shows another example of self-preservation. He doesn't care what Sirius has to go through in Azkaban with the Dementors as long as he's safe. Pettigrew belongs in Slytherin. And there it is, the top 10 characters that I would resort. Who else do you guys think was put in the wrong house? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. You can follow me on Instagram to see more of my personal life, like my cute dog Loki, and some behind the scenes movie flame stuff. I also do similar content on TikTok and Twitter that I do here on this channel. So if you like what I do here, check them out. All the handles are right below me, and links are in the description. Over here are my wonderful patrons. If you want to be featured on the next video, plus get a few other perks, become a patron today. As always, if you liked the video, hit that like button and subscribe, and look out for more great movie flame videos on the way.